Picture this. The power's been out for 4 days, your phone's dead, stores are empty, and that silence outside, that's not peace, Saucy, it's desperation. You open your pantry, and suddenly every can, every bag feels like gold. I'm David, and I've been prepping since 2014. And let me tell you, one hard lesson I learned early: you don't realize what you actually need until it's too late to get it. Here's the brutal truth that most people don't want to hear. Prepping isn't about fear, it's about control. Most folks think if they've got a few cans of food and a flashlight, they're set. Wrong. That mindset gets people hungry, cold, and desperate fast. Look at Texas in 2021. Power grid collapsed, grocery shelves stripped in hours, and people were melting snow for water. Not overseas, right here in modern America. Now, if you want to avoid that panic, listen up, because today I'm breaking down the 9 canned foods every serious prepper should stockpile. The ones that don't just fill you up, they keep you alive when everything else falls apart. And number 7, it'll shock you because almost nobody talks about it. Yet, it's the one that can give you the calories, fat, and morale boost you need when your body's running on fumes. Here's the thing. The world's getting unstable. Supply chains, inflation, weather, all of it. Prices are climbing and shelves are thinning again. If you start now, you can build a stockpile that saves you money, time, and stress before everyone else wakes up to what's coming. So grab a notepad. This list could literally feed your family when nothing else will. Item 1, canned beans, black pinto chickpeas. Look! If you had to pick one canned food that quietly outperforms almost everything else in a real crisis, it's beans. Black pinto chickpeas, those 15-ounce cans you walk past every grocery trip, they're survival gold. Here's the thing most people miss. Beans aren't just cheap filler, they're one of the best cost-per-calorie foods you can buy. You're getting protein, fiber, and slow energy, all for about 25 to 40 cents a serving. That's right. According to current Walmart prices, you can grab a can for around 92 cents to $1.28. That's roughly 4 servings, less than the cost of a stick of gum per meal. And they last. These are low-acid cans, which means if you store them cool and dry, you're looking at 2 to 5 years, sometimes even longer, of dependable shelf life. True Prepper calls them one of the most stable proteins you can stock. Now, don't make the rookie mistake of buying only seasoned or sugary versions. They take up space, but deliver fewer calories. Go for no salt added, rinse them, and control your own flavor. Picture this. You're 2 weeks into a grid-down winter storm, power's out, roads closed. With just beans, canned tomatoes, and a few spices, you've got a hot one-pot chili that feeds the whole family. Or mash them up, mix with rice, and stretch a single meal into 3. Want the pro move? Rotate them into your regular cooking. That way you're always using, always replacing, never wasting. And here's something most people overlook. Dry beans are even cheaper. Yeah, you'll need fuel to cook them, but per serving, they beat almost any protein source out there. So the next time you're building your pantry, don't underestimate the humble can of beans. It's simple, reliable, and in a crisis, absolutely priceless. Item 2, canned tuna with caution. Here's one that always sparks debate in prepper circles. Canned tuna. It's light, it's protein-packed, and it's one of the easiest no-cook foods you can stash. But you've got to handle it smartly, because this one comes with a catch, literally and figuratively. A standard 5 to 6 ounce can, whether it's Starkist or Great Value, will run you about $1.10 to $1.50 right now at Walmart. You can even grab a 4-pack for roughly $3.84. Cheap protein? Absolutely. But here's the thing. Recent recalls have made tuna a little riskier than it used to be. In February 2025, TriUnion had to pull entire batches off shelves after lid defects raised contamination concerns. The FDA even posted full lot codes for verification. So before you stock up, check those labels every single time. A minute of inspection now can save you from a very bad surprise later. Now, assuming your cans are clean, no bulging, no rust, no funky pull tabs, you've got one of the most convenient proteins in your pantry. No cooking, no power, no problem. You can mix it with a bit of mayo for sandwiches, or combine it with rice and canned veggies for a full meal that's balanced and surprisingly filling. But here's what smart preppers do. They diversify. Don't hoard one brand or one protein. Mix in sardines, canned salmon, or chicken to hedge against recall risk. Because when supply chains glitch, and they will, you'll still have backup options that keep your protein levels steady. Item 3, canned chicken or turkey. Here's something that rarely gets the spotlight but absolutely deserves it. canned chicken, or turkey. Now, I know what you're thinking. Chicken in a can? But trust me, this humble protein might quietly be one of the smartest things in your entire stockpile. Here's the thing, while everyone's rushing for tuna or Spam, canned chicken stays under the radar. And that's your advantage. It's neutral, versatile, and less prone to recalls than seafood. You can mix it into soups, stews, casseroles, or even make sandwiches straight out of the can. No cooking, no mess, no waiting, just open, drain, and you're eating. According to Real Simple and multiple retailer listings, most 10 to 12 ounce cans run around $2 to $4 each, depending on the brand and store. That's roughly 25 to 30 grams of protein per serving, clean, lean, and shelf stable for 2 to 5 years when stored properly. That's serious value for something that requires zero refrigeration. Now, a quick caution: avoid the flavored versions. I get it, buffalo or lemon pepper sounds good, but those limit how you can use it later. Go for plain or lightly seasoned cans so you can control the taste. Add your own spices, broth, or rice mix. One can becomes the foundation for 5 different meals. And here's a tip most people miss. Check for BPA-free liners if that's something you care about. More manufacturers are switching over, but not all have caught up yet. When warehouse stores quietly start increasing stock of something, like canned poultry, it's a signal worth noticing. It's reliable, cheap to transport, and doesn't rely on the cold chain. In other words, it's disaster-proof food. So if you're serious about long-term prepping, don't overlook it. Because when the power's out and fresh meat's a memory, that $3 can of chicken might just be what keeps your family fed and your plan from falling apart. Simple, reliable. Protein that lasts. Item 4, canned salmon. Let's talk about something that's often sitting right next to the tuna, but rarely gets the attention it deserves: canned salmon. Now, before you scroll past, hear me out. This one's a quiet powerhouse. Unlike tuna, canned salmon isn't just protein. It's loaded with omega-3s, calcium, and essential nutrients your body craves during long-term emergencies. And here's the wild part: the bones are edible. That's right, those soft white bits inside, they're pure calcium. It's like a built-in multivitamin that happens to taste great. According to True Prepper and multiple prepper resources, most cans last 2 to 5 years if stored in a cool, dry space. That's as long as your other protein staples. But you're getting way more nutrient density per bite. In survival terms, that's priceless. Pricing varies depending on brand and quality, typically higher than tuna, but the trade-off is quality fuel. Sockeye and pink salmon are your go-to choices. Sockeye packs a stronger flavor and more omega-3s. Pink is milder, lighter, and often cheaper. Either way, both beat out most canned meats in nutrition. Here's where it gets interesting. You can turn one can into 3 or 4 meals, mix it with rice and canned tomatoes for a rich, hearty stew, stir it into pasta or canned veggies, or make a simple salmon spread with mayo and crackers. No cooking required. And so look, here's the thing most people miss. In a long-term grid-down situation, your body starts breaking down without healthy fats. That's when salmon becomes gold. The omega-3s keep your brain sharp and your immune system strong when stress and scarcity hit hardest. So next time you're stocking up, don't just grab the tuna. Grab a few cans of salmon too, because when the shelves go empty, this small can could mean the difference between surviving and thriving. Item 5, canned sardines and mackerel. Now, here's a hidden gem in the prepping world that most people skip right past: canned sardines and mackerel. Yeah, I know, not everyone gets excited about small, oily fish, but hear me out, because if you're serious about value, calories, and nutrition that actually keeps you alive, this is one item you can't afford to overlook. These little cans, usually 3 to 4 ounces, pack a punch. Sardines and mackerel are loaded with omega-3s, calcium, and protein, and they're one of the highest calorie per dollar foods you can buy right now. According to We Love Prepping, most cans run under $2, yet they deliver 200 to 250 calories and around 20 grams of protein. Plus, those edible bones add a priceless source of calcium when dairy isn't around. Shelf life? Typically 3 to 5 years, as long as they're stored in a cool, dry spot. That's right up there with canned meats, but with way more nutrient density. Now, look, the biggest reason preppers skip sardines isn't cost or shelf life, it's taste. People dismiss them without giving them a fair shot. But here's the secret: don't eat them straight from the can the first time. Try them in a recipe. Mash them into rice with a little canned tomato and seasoning, or spread them on crackers with a squeeze of lemon. Once you do, you'll realize these aren't just fishy snacks, they're power food. And here's something most folks never consider. In survival mode, fat is fuel. Those versions packed in oil, they add calories and sustain energy when carbs are low. Water-packed cans are lighter, more versatile, and great for mixing into soups or casseroles. So here's your pro move. Buy both. Stock a few cans in oil for high-calorie energy meals and a few in water for everyday flexibility. Because when grocery shelves run dry, it won't be fancy freeze-dried meals that keep you going. It'll be the smart, overlooked stuff like this. Cheap, compact, nutrient-dense, sardines and mackerel. The True Prepper's protein powerhouse. Item 6. Canned tomatoes and paste. Here's something that quietly turns survival food into real meals. I'm talking about canned tomatoes and tomato paste, diced, crushed, pureed, or in those little tubes everyone forgets about. Now, this one doesn't look flashy on the shelf, but it's the backbone of flavor in any prepper pantry. Why? Because it multiplies the taste, texture, and versatility of everything else you've stored. Beans, rice, meats, you name it. One small can of tomatoes can turn plain ingredients into chili, stew, or a pasta sauce that actually tastes good. And trust me, when you've been eating shelf food for weeks, flavor is survival. Here's what makes it special. It's acidic, shelf-stable, and cheap. According to True Prepper, most canned tomatoes last about 1 to 3 years, depending on storage. That's slightly shorter than low-acid foods like canned chicken or beans, but still long enough to justify buying in bulk. The key is rotation. Use one, replace one. Price-wise, it's one of the best deals in your pantry. Even in 2025, most cans of diced or crushed tomatoes still sit around $1 to $1.50, and tomato paste runs about 60 cents to $1 per can. That's a small investment for something that completely transforms your food options. But here's the mistake I see all the time. People only stock whole or diced tomatoes. That limits you. What you actually want is variety, diced for soups, crushed for sauces, and paste for concentrated flavor and thickness. Tomato paste is the real secret weapon here. A spoonful can rescue bland beans, rice, or even canned meat. It's your survival pantry's seasoning powerhouse. And here's a pro tip. Buy paste in tubes instead of cans. They store easily, create zero waste, and last longer once opened. Just squeeze out what you need. No need to open an entire can and throw half away. Canned tomatoes are also your best bet for vitamin C and antioxidants when fresh produce disappears. They're not just for taste, they're a genuine nutritional asset. So next time you're stocking your shelves, don't underestimate these red cans, because when the world slows down and meals get repetitive, that simple can of tomatoes might be what keeps dinner and morale alive. Item 7. Canned pork / spam / corned beef. Let's talk about one of the most underrated survival foods, the kind that people love to mock until they're hungry: canned pork, SPAM, and corned beef. These aren't just throwbacks to your grandparents' pantry, they're lifesavers in disguise. Each can pack dense calories, long shelf life, and zero prep time. When the power's out and you've already burned through your fresh supplies, these are what keep you going. Here's the thing. In 2025, canned meats like Spam are running about $3 to $4 per 12-ounce can on Amazon and Costco. That's not bad when you consider that one can gives you 6 to 8 servings of high-calorie, ready-to-eat protein. You can eat it straight out of the can, fry it up for a hot sandwich, or dice it into rice and beans to stretch flavor and calories. Now, most preppers either avoid these completely or go overboard. Both are mistakes. These meats are high in sodium and processed fats, yes, but that's not a downside in crisis mode. That salt helps with water retention when you're sweating through stress or heat. The fat? That's long-term energy. It's all about balance. Pair one can of SPAM with a pot of beans or vegetables, and you've got a solid, balanced survival meal. Shelf life? We're talking multiple years, sometimes beyond what's printed on the label if stored cool and dry. That's real peace of mind. No fridge, no freezer, no problem. Here's a pro tip. Buy variety packs instead of cases of one flavor. Rotate through them and keep a few for barter. In a long-term crisis, high-calorie protein becomes currency. A can of Spam might trade for batteries, rice, or medical supplies when shelves go bare. So don't let the memes fool you. This is serious survival food. Cheap, compact, filling, and proven in every major disaster from World War II to modern hurricanes. When everything else spoils, these little metal bricks of protein keep you fed, fueled, and focused when it matters most. Item 8. Canned evaporated and condensed milk. Here's one item that almost nobody talks about, but every seasoned prepper swears by once they discover it. Canned evaporated and condensed milk. Now, don't scroll past just because it sounds boring. This isn't just for baking cookies. It's one of the smartest, most multi-purpose survival staples you can store. Let's break it down. Evaporated milk is simply milk with about 60% of the water removed. It's unsweetened, shelf-stable, and can be mixed with water to make regular milk for coffee, sauces, or baking. Condensed milk, on the other hand, is thick, sweet, and calorie-dense, perfect for desserts, drinks, or when you just need a morale boost. That difference matters, because in a crisis, food isn't just about survival, it's about comfort. When stress hits hard, that spoonful of condensed milk in your coffee or oatmeal can remind you what normal feels like. In 2025, prices are still steady, typically between $1.50 and $3 per can, depending on brand and size. And with a shelf life of 2 to 5 years, you're looking at one of the best calorie per inch of shelf space ratios you can get. According to WeLovePrepping.com, both types are excellent for boosting nutrition and calories when protein and fat are harder to come by. Here's the real prepper value: versatility. You can pour evaporated milk straight into soups or casseroles for creaminess, blend it into mashed potatoes, or turn powdered foods into something satisfying. It's a bridge between survival food and real cooking. And here's a pro tip: stock both types. Evaporated for savory meals, condensed for morale. That mix keeps your diet balanced, body and mind. But don't make this rookie mistake, assuming milk cans are only good for baking. They're not. They're a functional cooking ingredient and a calorie lifeline. Think of it this way: one can of condensed milk packs nearly 1,300 calories. That's not dessert, that's survival fuel. So next time you're building your pantry, slip in a few cans of evaporated and condensed milk. You'll thank yourself when you're making pancakes without refrigeration, or when a small sweet treat lifts your spirit after a hard day. Because survival isn't just about staying alive, it's about staying human. Item 9 to 10, cans and commercial emergency cans. Now, this next one isn't flashy, but if you're serious about long-term survival, this is where strategy meets savings. We're talking about number 10 cans, those large commercial-sized cans used by emergency food suppliers and institutions. These aren't your typical grocery store tins. They're built for decades of storage, often containing dehydrated or freeze-dried meals, beans, rice, potatoes, or even powdered milk. Here's why they're so powerful. Most preppers focus on short-term, ready-to-eat food. But real resilience means planning for years, not just weeks. A single number 10 can might hold the same calories as 8 to 10 regular cans, and with a shelf life of 20 to 30 years, it's basically time-proof food security. In 2025, brands like My Patriot Supply and Ready Hour List number 10 cans is a cornerstone for emergency kits. Prices vary depending on contents, but when you calculate cost per serving, these cans are surprisingly affordable. You're paying a little more upfront for massive long-term payoff. And here's the thing: these aren't just for bunkers or doomsday scenarios. Smart preppers use them as household baselines, your food insurance. You can rotate through them slowly, incorporating portions into normal meals to maintain freshness and familiarity. A word of caution though, don't buy in bulk without a plan. Once a number 10 can is opened, it's no longer long-term. You'll need to use it within weeks or reseal portions with oxygen absorbers or Mylar bags. Pro tip: start small. Pick 1 or 2 cans, maybe instant potatoes or freeze-dried fruit, and test them. You'll learn how they taste, cook, and fit your family's preferences. When stored properly in a cool, dry place, these cans are literal decades of peace of mind. They form the backbone of a layered food system. Short-term cans for now, number 10 cans for the future. So while others chase trends, the seasoned prepper quietly builds a foundation that lasts. Because number 10 cans aren't just food, they're time capsules of security. Before we wrap up, let's talk about some advanced strategies that separate beginner stockpilers from seasoned preppers. First, don't just stock cans, build meal systems. Mix your canned goods with dry staples like rice, rice, oats, or pasta. A simple can of beans or meat becomes a full, calorie-dense meal when paired with these long-lasting bases. This approach doesn't just save space, it multiplies your calories and nutrition without breaking the bank. And here's a pro move straight from the survival mom. Follow FIFO, first in, first out. Always use your oldest cans first and label each one with the purchase date using a marker. That tiny habit keeps your pantry fresh and ensures nothing expires unnoticed at the back of a shelf. Now, if you want to stretch your calories even further, think about canned fats. Items like sardines in oil, SPAM, or even canned corned beef pack both protein and fat, essential for survival situations where energy is everything. You can easily add a spoon of oily fish or Spam chunks to rice or beans for a massive caloric boost that keeps you fueled longer. But let's balance that with what not to do. A major pitfall I see, people spend hundreds on gourmet canned meals that look fancy but fail on cost per calorie. They taste amazing, but they won't sustain you in a long-term crisis. The smarter approach? Build a balanced rotation, a mix of staple beans and proteins, a flavor base like tomatoes or sauces, and one or two morale treats like fruit or pudding cups. This system keeps your pantry efficient, affordable, and morale-friendly, because survival isn't just about calories, it's about sustainability. When done right, every can becomes part of a bigger, smarter plan, one that feeds your body and your confidence in any crisis. When you strip it all down, prepping isn't about fear, it's about freedom. Having a shelf full of reliable canned goods means your family eats well no matter what happens. Power outage, job loss, or another round of shortages. The smartest preppers don't hoard, they strategize. They mix affordable staples like beans and tomatoes with calorie-dense proteins like SPAM or sardines, and they rotate consistently using FIFO so nothing goes to waste. Every can you buy now is a small piece of security for your future. But here's the truth. Time's not on our side. Prices keep climbing and recalls aren't slowing down. The people who take small, consistent steps today, labeling cans, checking dates, building smart rotation shelves, will be the ones sleeping peacefully when supply chains tighten again. So here's your mission. Before the weekend ends, pick 3 items from this list and start your pantry base. You'll thank yourself later. If this video gave you even one idea, hit that like button. It tells YouTube this info matters. Subscribe for more practical prepping guides every week. No fluff, just real strategies that work. And drop a comment. What's the one canned food you won't live without? I'll feature the best answers and the smartest prepping hacks in the next video. Stay prepared, stay steady, and remember, you can't control the storm, but you can stock the shelter.